Greetings, Wargamers. We're your hosts, Trevor,
Jay,
Josh, and this is Chain Attack.
Chain Attack is sponsored by Discount Games Incorporated. Discount Games Incorporated specializes in customer service, low prices, and prompt shipping. You can find our web store at www.discountgamesinc.com.
Welcome to Chain Attack. I'm your host, Trevor, and I love Drax, Groot, and Rocket.
I am I am Jay, and I feel like I am going through like the highs and lows of a parent potty training their child, and I never wanted to experience this, but here I am.
What? Is this with the cat?
Yes. Like we were out of town for a couple of days for Thanksgiving and thought for sure like we were going to come home and she was going to have peed on her blanket, and got home and she didn't, and she hadn't peed anywhere, and so we're like, yes, maybe we've turned a corner. And then the next day she pees on her blanket, and then the next day she pees on her bed.
She was just waiting for you to come back.
I guess, yeah. Fortunately the bed had a waterproof liner, but
As one
I mean,
does.
I've got to assume that the other cats act differently when you guys are around, and that's part of the problem or something.
I mean, I think that some of it might be that. So first of all, the new cat is super high anxiety.
Yeah.
But also, I think that one of the cats is jealous when the new cat gets attention, and so she doesn't like that. And then also, she's like twice as big as the new cat. Not. I mean, I guess probably a third again, so half again, whatever. Anyway, she's a fair bit bigger, and she spends like her favorite thing to do now is to stalk the new cat and chase her, and and the new cat does not like this. So.
Well, I'm Josh, and I have now played enough of the video game Stray that I will never question anything a cat does again, and it's totally fine to knock bottles and paint cans and whatever you want off of surfaces.
Are you enjoying it?
It's fun, yeah. It feels very meditative to me so far.
I mean, it's
Are you
just
playing
mostly
it on your
puzzles,
Steam
right?
Deck?
It's kind of puzzly. I am playing it. No, I'm actually not playing it on my Steam Deck, Jay. Although I might try to change some settings and try it again on my Steam Deck. But like when I first tried to boot up on my Steam Deck, it basically couldn't handle it. Like it felt like the graphics choked it to death or whatever. So
Interesting.
but yeah, it is puzzle. I mean, it's interesting, Trevor, because like it has some moments that are like feels like you're running through a part of Half-Life.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it played on Twitch.
Yeah, okay. But just like the story and kind of the ambiance and stuff, it just really feels meditative is really the word I want to use for it. But I seriously, it just gives me this little thrill of joy when I'm just like, I feel like I'm gonna walk up on this countertop and knock all those beer bottles over. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe these cats know what's up. Maybe they got a good idea.
Maybe they do. I have to admit that I do have a little bit of disappointment, Josh, that you did not introduce yourself as I am God Emperor Josh. Now that you are officially sworn in.
Oh, we're clear of the paywall, Jay, so I try to behave a little bit.
Oh, okay. Fair. News with Discount Games Inc. /Gameopolis. Gameopolis, we this week we got the news that we had passed the committee, and we're now officially a WPN premium store. So hooray for that. It's been a lot of work, but finally achieved. So that was exciting for us. And then the last week, the Age of Sigmar Battle Force boxes were pre-sold. There's still a bunch of them available. This weekend, the Warhammer 40k Battle Force boxes are being pre-sold, and so there's a lot of great value there. So get them while you can. It will be very exciting. Any news with you guys, and before we dive in?
I want to ask Jay, how soon will you know that all the effort was worth it on being a premium store? I mean, it's cool, right? It's great that you've been elected, but is that like you see kind of the value in maybe a quarter or in a year, or?
I mean, I don't really know how to answer that. And honestly, I don't think that the amount of money and effort that was expended was worth it for just being a WPN premium store. But obviously, there's a lot of benefits of hopefully people coming into the store and being like, "Oh wow, this place looks amazing," or having some of the the big logo acrylic piece that's backlit being eye catching or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the changes to the fixtures of the shelving change, or the additional play space. It's more, I think, hopefully going to be the community reaction to the upgrades in the store than actually
some of it's intangible then too.
Yeah,
right?
the WotC, the Wizard of the Coast status, I don't think is necessarily as important as how it impacts the majority of the customers, hopefully. So I don't know. But I guess what you're a Mr. Fancy MBA man, Josh. What things did they teach you about these types of investments?
That they're worth it. I mean, the short version is that, yeah, I just think it's funny too, because I think even somebody made this comment on Discord when you were sharing pictures. It's like, you already do, for your industry, a pretty markedly good job of having a nice facility, with well taken care of and frankly professional, easy to work with staff and that kind of stuff. And so it's funny in some ways that you've made the effort to do this upgrade, but it's the right thing to do, right? It's to continue to improve and to provide that kind of high caliber location. And so,
one of the things.
Go ahead, Trevor.
I was just gonna say, one of the things that I think we've been guilty of is thinking about game stores the way that they were when we were kids. And the truth is that I've been to a lot of game stores now in other towns.
Yeah.
That are very nice.
Yeah.
And I think the general level of game store is probably elevated considerably higher than what we normally think of as game store, especially
that's probably true.
In bigger towns. So yeah, I guess I'm not sure where I'm going with that, other than
I think there's kind of a pretty big dichotomy. There's still a lot of stores that open on kind of a shoestring budget and try to build up from there. And I mean, I'm not taking away from that, because that's basically how I started.
Yeah.
But also, there's no way that I could have even conceived of the expenses of the tables or chairs or the shelving that we got when I was initially starting out, because that was just way beyond what I could have afforded at the time. But you are correct. There's a fair number of stores where either people with, there's a lot of people who are interested in our hobby now who, it's because the hobby has grown so much.
And we've gotten older. And
we've gotten older. Right. And there's going to be, anytime you get a large enough pool of people who are interested in the hobby, there's going to be, some number of them that have quite a bit of money and that can afford to, go after the dream of, having an amazing game store or whatever. And there's also more people who actually have, business sense or merchandising experience or design experience, etc. All those things that game stores were kind of famous for not having much of previously.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and like I said, our generation, when I first got into D&D, there was a few old crusty guys in the game store, but generally even the owner was fairly young.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we've all grown up now, we're the old crusty guys. But the truth is we're more discerning. We want a nicer experience. We want to go into a store and not deal with the crusty bathroom and the game stores of our youth. We're willing to spend a little bit more because we have a little bit more to do so. And now those stores have a much larger, like you said, a larger customer base, so they can cater to both the younger generation who doesn't have enough money to spend on some of those things, and us who are willing to spend on those things.
And it also, my part of the way I envisioned it was that this was going to be an investment that would be long term, that would have hopefully benefits that would yield fruit for a long time. It would, one of the things that Nate, my manager, had said was that our play space sometimes can be an issue as not having enough of it, and so with redesigning how the layout is, we have additional play space, and it's going to extend us being able to be in this location for, my hope would be as long as I'm in business at this point. I guess you never know how things are going to be, but it might kill me to try to move that business at this point.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot of sense to me if a business is going to be in a location for a long period of time, to try to do those longer term investments to make the store more appealing while it's there. So I guess that was, I don't know how quickly I'm going to see that, Josh, but I guess I had approached it from the mindset of, this is going to, even if it takes a really long time, that's fine, because we're going to be here for a really long time. So
Sure. Yeah. No, that's fun. It's a good discussion.
all right, well, we are going to grade the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. I am very happy for my friend Trevor, who felt like Thor 4 was promised some Guardians of the Galaxy content, and he basically got a few cameo scenes, and now he gets to finally watch some of the characters that he loves.
It's true.
So what was
your
nonsense? I guess I don't know that there's necessarily huge spoilers to this show, but we are going to be talking about the entire show, so be aware of that.
Yes.
What was your guys' initial reaction to it?
I laughed from start to finish. Loved it.
I was deeply impressed with the soundtrack, honestly.
Okay.
The plot was fine. It was fun. Yeah, it's lighthearted, but like some of the songs were just a ton of fun, and that sort of surprised me.
Yes, my daughter demanded. So I'm a pretty big Christmas music guy. I have multiple playlists, probably 3 different Christmas playlists on my Spotify account, and I always basically play Christmas music from mid-November till mid-January.
My wife would be so proud of you.
Yes, and I usually start with my silly Christmas list, and that kind of goes until mid-December, and then because if you play just Christmas songs, you won't be able to stick with it for forever. So I have to have some variation. Anyway, the main songs from the old 97s, the band that plays the first song and the last song, they are on my silly Christmas list.
I will say that I thought that the main plot point of the show of like, Star-Lord is having a crappy Christmas, and so his friends are going to save Christmas by kidnapping Kevin Bacon to
The legendary Kevin Bacon.
the legendary Kevin Bacon. Was pretty amazing.
It's funny that you say that because I also feel like the main plot point was I guess the discussion of Mantis and Star-Lord's heritage,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
right? Because like that was part of her main motivation, right?
Yeah, to get the Christmas gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? I'm kind of curious. I want a reaction from the two of you. So, a piece of recent geek news is that James Gunn, the guy who's been doing this content for Marvel with the Guardians of the Galaxy, is now essentially one half of Kevin Feige for the DC Extended Universe, and will be trying to, I guess, right the ship and make it not such a complete disaster.
Like, does that mean he'll give the DC cinematic universe color? Is that
I would assume that's going to be part
probably
of
a
it.
bridge too far?
No, I mean he's already made a DC movie and it has plenty
It
of
does.
color.
That's true.
In
Josh
fact,
hasn't seen it
it
because
is.
it's R.
Yeah,
It is good.
you should-
Yeah, that's right. The
You
Suicide
should
Squad.
probably not see it. I'm just I'll
Yeah.
curate for you. However, it is funnier than hell, and it is very bright, and it is fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, it is Guardians of the Galaxy 2.5 or whatever. Like, it's fantastic. I love that show.
I also like the show. I like Guardians more, but I it's like far and away better than
Guardian seems to me like more lovable a-holes than the just pure a-holes of Suicide Squad. Is that fair?
I think that the Suicide Squad of James Gunn is also lovable assholes.
yes, that's probably true. But I guess
in a
my-
more sorry, just I
Go
have to clarify because they are not the same type of lovable.
yeah,
like
in a much
they're-
more explicit way.
in a much more horrible way too. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it other than I will forever laugh at the shark holding up his hand and saying hand. Like, that joke never gets old for me.
So I've done a bunch of setup. I need to finally ask my question.
You want a reaction?
Okay, so do you feel like losing James Gunn to the DCEU to try to make it worth something more than horse piss is worth him not doing any more stuff with Marvel?
Okay, so
Interesting. I want to hear Trevor's reaction first, and then I have mine.
Let me clarify, or let me get clarification from you. Is that guaranteed that he's not going to do any more Marvel?
I mean, I guess I haven't read
you
anything
inferring?
to that, but like I feel pretty like I don't understand any world where James Gunn. I think he's contracted for like, I can't remember. It was either 5 years or 10 years. But like
Holy smokes!
when he's under that contract, he's not going to be making a Marvel.
You don't think DC is going to let him
No.
stray?
No.
Okay, so my reaction is I hate DC, and yes, this is bad.
Okay.
I don't like. I have very few DC heroes that I like. I do think that it's good for geekdom to have a little competition. I do think it's good for geekdom to have James Gunn directing some stuff in our stable. I would rather it was still Guardian stuff. I would rather it was still Marvel stuff.
All right. My reaction is dissimilar. I think that Gunn has done a excellent enough job of creating and setting up the Marvel's Guardians that it is a property that can and should be passed to other hands to try to, do a good job with.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I want him to continue doing Guardians forever. I'm saying Guardian-esque. Like, I would like him to do Marvel movies of other types.
Sure.
So looking up things, it's a 4-year contract that he has with DC. And then the article also says this. It says, it must be noted that Gunn has been open about his future with the Marvel sub-franchise. Next year's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will cap off the trilogy. Gunn began in 2014, and the director has no plans to work with the characters again in the future. Obviously, someone else could.
That's disappointing.
Etc. But I guess I'm not as hopeful as Josh, I guess, which I guess shouldn't be surprising. But I don't think I am skeptical that other directors are going to be able to capture the comedy or the magic of the Guardians of the Galaxy that Gunn has.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I'm wrong with that. But they're also like,
what if you handed it to like Taika Waititi, for example?
They're just so different. I mean, I would still.
But they're
I'm
funny.
Sure,
they're both funny.
I'm sure I would enjoy it. And honestly, my expectation is that like after Volume 3, it's going to have to evolve anyways because, for example, I'm pretty sure I've read that the actor playing Drax is done with Drax at that point.
Dave Bautista. Okay.
Yeah, etc.
Well, let me give you sort of one other related question to this train of thought, which is that I feel like it's fair to say that some of, especially stage 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's success was that chances were taken on unknown actors. I don't pay good enough attention because, again, who directed the Dune movie? I don't pay good enough attention to the directors.
Another
Did
example.
they take chances
took
on
big
unknown
chances
directors
on,
and
like,
stuff too?
Yes,
the
they
Russo
did.
brothers. The Russo brothers were like completely out of left field.
I guess that's my point. Is like, let's go back. Like, let's get some more of that magic going again. Like, let's take a chance on some unknown directors, or And I mean, the thing that's so great and slash it's a double-edged sword about comic properties, right, is that they are literally like an infinite mine of material and content. And like, half the challenge is like, do you think we really can produce this storyline in a movie? And I'm going and I'm like, holy cow, they actually can, And so that's part of, I think, where my optimism comes, and also something congenital.
Okay, well, that was a long tangent, which I don't regret. But to get things back on track, I assume, Trevor, you watched this with your family. Did they have a similar reaction to it?
Yeah. My daughter and wife loved it quite a bit. My boys enjoyed it. Probably not as much as we did.
I watched it with Brian. I liked it quite a bit more than Brian. He didn't dislike it, but he was like, it's not the worst thing I've watched, but it's also not the best. But he's also on a bit of a ebb with Marvel and Star Wars right now. So.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, did you watch it by yourself, Josh, or?
I did. Yeah. I just
assumed so, since
in between legislative training sessions, yes, I was like, well, I guess I better try to get this done.
I assume your celebratory dinner tonight was like with some dark money lobbyists or something taking you out to dinner, or
are we still behind the paywall? I lost track.
Oh, no.
But yes, yeah, it was with other legislators, and sure, call them what you called them, lobbyists.
Were there any things that you felt like didn't work with the show?
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready for. Okay, buckle up for the thing that didn't work for me.
Okay.
What is this absolute malarkey that this was a completely different Groot? And I also didn't love the way Groot is growing right now. Like, so I was completely, everything's ruined for Groot and etc.
Okay, so first off, in fairness, we were talking about this in the Discord, and it came as like a complete shock to many people in the Discord that like the canonical thing with Groot in the MCU is what most people I think assume or believe that the current Groot is basically a continuation of the previous Groot, and it's not. It is basically his offspring, and
It's bull. Go on. I'm listening. It's such bull.
but that isn't the fault of the Guardians of the Galaxy special. That's been like I've known about this for ages. So
Yeah, that came up before Guardians of the Galaxy 2, if I remember right.
yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this question was posed to James Gunn a long time ago, and he basically said, yeah, it's not the same Groot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so that's also part of my complaint. That is completely unearned. Like, if your characters change to that degree, and the way I had to find out about it was in an interview with the director in some obscure entertainment magazine, that's baloney.
Okay,
Here's
let
another-
me ask you a question, Josh. If you cut off a piece of a tree and you plant it elsewhere and it grows a new tree, is it the same tree or a new tree?
Listen, Vision and White Vision giving me the ship
I'm
of
just
Tarsus
wanting to know.
Same tree.
Because-
It's the same
because
tree because that's what I want. Well, look.
Okay, then for
All
you,
I needed
it's
was a
the
line.
same Groot. How's that?
Oh, bro. Well, then he needs a haircut and a real job.
I mean, he didn't have to explain this because we all saw it on the screen.
The what? Him?
Them planting a piece of the old tree to create a new tree.
Yeah. It's still.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry that it's such a
It
strange
is the
revelation.
only thing that I'm dissatisfied with. That's fine.
So here's a couple of tweets from James Gunn. He's replying, so part of this doesn't necessarily make sense, but he's replying to a tweet and he says, he's much broader than OG Groot ever was. He's his prodigy and a totally different Groot. And then he says, I think it's explicit in the movies, though, as Baby Groot was explicitly a baby without the knowledge of OG Groot, but now that Groot's body is developing differently, it's more obvious. So. But I did think that the one of Brian's complaints was that the Groot in this Christmas special he didn't think looked very good.
Yeah. Thank you. See, if Brian
Really?
said it, then I'm right, and I'm good.
Yeah, he was like,
The character
Okay.
looked terrible,
Really?
which again was part of my complaint. And maybe the character looked terrible because the director and producer of the show felt such shame that they had tried to push on us this idea of a completely.
any other things that did not work?
No, that's my only.
Okay,
Did not.
okay. So let's talk about the things that I guess did work or that you were happiest with. Trevor, you can go first. Tell us something you loved.
Okay. So I was a little concerned coming in that this would be the Star Wars special from last year, which is like we're gonna have
The
a
Lego one?
special. Yeah, the Lego one. We're
Yeah.
gonna try to force the Christmas theme upon it. It will never fit, and we're just gonna kind of shoehorn it in. I was just afraid that we're gonna try to smash.
I think
Smash
shoehorning is a completely legitimate fear.
Yeah, and I was wrong. I really felt like it was a good Christmas special. That it has every bit much Christmas spirit as like Peanuts Christmas, and way better songs. Have I mentioned how much I hate the Peanuts Christmas song thingy?
Man, I don't know. I do love that.
Yeah, I mean, like
No.
the rest of the songs, the album, the jazz album.
Oh,
are
sure. The
fantastic.
rest of I'm talking about the one that the one where all the kids are singing. Yeah, that.
Oh,
that-
yeah, no, yeah, okay.
That song
I'm with you there.
drives me up the wall.
That
the
song
rest-
should be burned in the same fire with whoever said Groot is a new Groot.
That's that's the song that they love to play on the radio, and I hate it. I mean, the rest of the specials actually got some great songs, but that one's the only one they play.
Okay. I mean, this is. I'll do one. This is, I guess, my Captain Obvious statement, but I did just appreciate the humor / some of the callbacks, like Kevin Bacon or Nebula stealing the arm of Bucky. Were all pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, my kids and I basically walk around the house yelling, "Kevin Bacon!"
Honestly, my favorite part was just Kevin Bacon. Like, I don't even know how much they paid him to just like kind of be a class act / just and
Also-
the ripping on. I'm totally there for the jokes about actors.
Right, yeah.
I guess not all actors are complete pieces of stuff like that. I know it's just self-referential, but I probably love self-referential jokes so much as I love a dad joke. So.
Oh, I love self-referential jokes so much.
All right. Well, it's time. Let us begin the grading of the Christmas special. So, Josh, first category.
Design. I mean, this gets massive points for me because I seriously loved the music so much. Like,
One other thing I'm going to give it, and I mean this is going to bleed over, I guess, in the other category that is the actual category that I'm going to talk about. But I appreciated that they did a Christmas special where it felt like the length of the show was perfect.
Yeah. That's well said.
And that they accomplished everything they needed to in that amount of time. And yes, that is going to fall under time management, but also like I was impressed that they were with the design of the show that they were able to accomplish that.
Yeah. Also, we didn't even really talk about it, but bonus points for the cartoon. Like,
Sure,
that
yeah.
felt like, the old hand-drawn animation and was also kind of self-referential. But this thing is an easy 8 for me on design.
Yeah, there was some people who were kind of like giving James Gunn a little bit of flack for it, and at first I didn't quite get it, the animation. I mean, and until I saw him say that he was basically referencing the Star Wars Christmas special,
Right,
from
yeah.
the '80s, and then I was like, oh, that makes way more sense. And then it didn't bother me as nearly as much. And in fact, I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So anyway,
To your design score, Trevor.
yeah, I've already watched it twice. I'll probably watch it twice more before Christmas. I realize that that's not.
And you already
necessarily
have
what
the
I'm
music
talking
in your playlist, as we talked
about.
about.
It's true. I really love this cast of characters. I love the way they work together. I guess I'm kind of an anti-hero sort of guy. I like people who don't normally do the good thing being good. So I guess maybe that's me. So I thought it was fantastic. I'm gonna give it an 8.
I don't understand why you guys are grading so low. It's a 9.
I think 'cause
why
I
do you have no
wanted-
love in your heart?
I wanted it to be a little longer.
Yeah, I think that's it too. Like, even though you're right and it's the right size, Jay, yeah, there's a part of me that's like,
That's fair.
Did you guys see that the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 preview came out today? The trailer.
I did see that. I have not watched it yet.
I did not.
So that just reinforced the problem here. My issue was I wanted a new Guardians film, and I guess and I mentioned it when we talked about
Thor.
Thor.
Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I was just expecting more Guardians, and I wanted more here. And the preview coming out today just sort of rubbed salt in that wound. So,
time management. So I'm going to agree with Jay. Really, they packed just the right amount of fun and silliness, and
I didn't feel like there was
heartfelt warmth.
any part where the show dragged.
Sure, right.
Which obviously can happen. I'm debating between a 9 and a 10. I'll go with a 9 because I wouldn't have been upset if it was longer. That's fair. But all the time that they used was well utilized, in my opinion.
I'm gonna stick with an 8, and I'm gonna kick it to Trevor.
Yeah, I just wish it was a little longer. I'm gonna go with a 9 because I never felt like. Again, I just watched it a second time to kind of fill that need, which is strong praise. So, yeah.
Repeatability. Well, clearly a high score for Trevor. Yeah, well, I actually will give it. It's going to get above average for me in repeatability because I will watch it again, and part of it is because of the length. But I also want to watch it again mainly just to like hear the tunes. I might watch just like parts of it again.
It's also would be a nice one for me to have downloaded on my iPad to watch on like the quick flight between Idle Falls and Salt Lake or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I give it a 6. Which is it was just high praise for me in this category.
And Josh, for you, it's like a 9, which you're only going to watch it like one more time, but that's still.
Yeah. Right. It's like some kind of miracle has occurred.
Yeah. I'll go an 8 on this category.
Okay, Trevor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go too high because outside of Christmas, I don't know that I'll watch it.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure I'll rewatch it again next year, at least once or twice. So it's just the right length for a Christmas special, as you already mentioned. So, it's something my kids will be willing to watch, which is sometimes hard. It'll kind of make its place in with the Muppet Scrooge. I can't think of the
Christmas Carol.
Yeah, Muppet Christmas Carol. We'll watch it with that. We always watch Muppet Christmas Carol at least twice a year.
Nice.
I can't remember the last time I watched Muppet's Christmas Carol, but it was one that I thought this year that I should put on the list to watch.
I saw someone on the internet reference a Muppets Lord of the Rings, and I thought that would be so amazing. Or even just Muppets Hobbit would be hilarious.
I got an invitation to an event in LA that, like, I wasn't going to be in LA then, but B, it was also, I think, like a $200 ticket to go to it. But it was celebrating the anniversary of A Muppet's Christmas Carol.
Oh, wow.
And it had, like, the lead puppeteers of the Jim Henson Studio that we're going to talk about, like the show, and talk about the Muppets and etc. So it would have been really cool to go to, but alas.
All right, let's move on to probably everyone's highest scoring category, which is fun. I give it a 9 because I have no love in my heart, and I don't feel like handing out a 10.
What is wrong with you? The dial goes to 11, Josh.
Does it?
Yes.
All right, and Jay.
I will go with a 10. Yes.
Yeah. All right, and your overall here, my friends.
I love James Gunn. I love what he does. This was fantastic. Gosh, it's the only thing it's not is it's not a full length movie. That's where I'm gonna ding it. So I'm gonna give it a 9.
I was able to hand out multiple 8s here, and so I'm going to stick with an 8 for my overall, but my score might go up after I actually do rewatch it. So
I will go with the 10 because my heart is not 13 sizes too small like my co-hosts. I mean, that's totally not true. Mine is totally shrunk, but whatever.
It shrunk so much that now it's larger than ours. So the audience, any audience concerns? My knee-jerk reaction is to say no. Like, you would want to watch this with anybody. Like, it's going to be fun with kids, with old people, with.
So there's some language that you should probably be concerned about around like really young kids, I think.
That's.
But I mean, I don't know. We're kids of the '80s where we watched shows all the time that had that sort of language,
yeah.
and
still
nobody.
Remember the first time I watched Goonies and with my children, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't remember a lot of this."
Right? Mine was Back to the Future. Like I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same kind of thing.
Cussing that much when I was a kid, but clearly he did. You know. So one or two swear words here or there. Maybe we shouldn't be as stodgy as we are sometimes. It seems like society's just changed in so many ways when it comes to stuff. In that we're both like the extremes. Like the kids in were like, oh no, and then the adults in were like, oh, this is way worse than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, then the question of go or no go, definite go from me. And I want to say one thing that we didn't talk about, but is this the second or the third like Marvel special presentation, and I'm really glad they're doing these. Like, one of the special presentations was Werewolf by Night, which I didn't necessarily connect with as much as this one, but I'm like, it's just a clever way to do it, like where you're not committing to a whole series. You can kind of just have this fun little side exploration, and so extra kudos for that.
I hope they explore the comic book phenomenon of the crossover a little bit more with this sort of format. You know what I mean? Like certain characters that you don't ever see interacting in normal movies or series, just teaming up in a kind of a wild romp for an hour.
Yeah, it would be a good way to do it.
So I watched a TV series, well, a Netflix series with Brian this weekend. It's the Wednesday series that they just released.
Oh yeah, did you watch the whole series then?
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the complaints is that a lot of the critics feel like it feels a little bit too much like a CW teen show, and
like
that's not always a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I enjoyed it. It was fun for what it was, and also I think some of those comparisons to the CW is fine. It's apt or whatever. But also, it's like, in my opinion, it's kind of a step up from a normal CW show. It's made by Tim Burton, and so it's stylish. It's well done, etc. And so it does have some tropes or whatever, but like, get over yourselves, I guess. Brian said that he was surprised. He went into it expecting to enjoy it, but he enjoyed it quite a lot more than he expeced. So.
Oh wow! Okay.
I didn't know.
I'm still watching Andor first.
Yeah, he was basically the creator of it, I believe. So yeah. So if you're interested in a recommend, check that out. Although my co-hosts have plenty of things to keep them busy, so that we can talk about them on the show.
Thanks for just adding to the list.
All right. Well, do any of you guys have anything? Okay.
Not I.
It's my time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. Let us know what you guys think of the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, and stay tuned to next week.